inflation is because they printed money for the last 2 or 3 years, and then this whole student loan thing to buy votes, half a trillion, and they say it's going to be $1 trillion if it actually goes through,
right.
Which just creates more inflation. The rates isn't the solution. The solution is to minimize the liquidity. They're doing that quantitative tightening instead of easing.
But I feel like a lot of the crypto guys were driving these prices really, really high.
Yeah.
And when crypto crashed, the watch market.
They had to liquidate.
Yeah, liquidate, came down.
You need to triple down on what actually works. If you're doing really good with cold calling or texting or Facebook ads, double down on it. Don't just keep doing it at the same rate. If you've got a winner, ride that winner to the fullest. And on the flip side, if you've got a loser or something that's not working as well, then cut it out or slow it down. At this point, everyone would agree we're in a recession, regardless of what Joe Biden or Jerome Powell tells you. But that doesn't mean we have to be fearful and not do anything. If you listen to my buddy Alex Hormozi, he says you're a loser if you're scared of the recession.
Only losers should fear recessions. I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Now look, I know it's easy to get scared when the media is telling you to be scared, but the reality is this is the best time to be an entrepreneur and position yourself ahead of the competition. In fact, I'm gonna tell you why I'm so excited and give you 10 different things you should be doing, not to just survive the recession, but thrive. First thing you need to do is adjust your marketing strategy to embrace the recession. The way you've done your marketing to this point might have worked really well, but now you need to adjust it to what people are going through right now. This includes how you create video ads, how you do your copywriting, and how you create your messaging. For example, if you look at my marketing for Future Flipper, the majority of my ads are talking about how to kill it in real estate in this recession. Because right now, that's what real estate investors are looking for. They want to figure out what they need to be doing during this changing time. And if you look at all my ads before this, they weren't talking about how to prepare for a recession or what you should be doing right now. The ads were talking about how the real estate market was really hot and how to find deals during this time when things were super competitive. In my own house flipping business, we have had to change how we reach out to sellers with our messaging. For example, during COVID on our TV commercials, we would say that we can make you an offer over the phone. We don't even have to come to your house because people were really scared about being around each other. And now a lot of our advertising is reaching out to sellers whose properties have been sitting out on the market for a while. And we're basically telling them that, hey, if your property's been sitting, we'll buy it right now. Other people are scared of the market, but we're not. We are still buying. The second thing you need to do is get rid of people who aren't carrying their weight. Look, the reality is there's going to be a ton of really talented people about to hit the job market. And really through no fault of their own, simply the companies they worked at weren't able to adapt and pivot. And so as an entrepreneur, you're going to have the choice at getting some grade A talent that was not available the last couple of years. And that means you need to look at your employees and say, who is an A player that I could see being with us for the future? Who has proved their worth during this time? Who has proved their loyalty? And who do I think is going to continue to get better? And if you've got people who you don't feel that way about, then it's probably time to part ways. For the last few years, it's been really easy to be a business owner and an employee. People are spending money, people are buying things, revenues are good, especially in the real estate business. And when things get easy, people get really comfy. And I'll be honest, I myself have felt that way as a business owner because things have been so much easier than they've been in the past. But now with everything tightening up, I've realized it's not time to be comfy, it's time to bear down and really get in the trenches. Unfortunately, you see more empty desks than we had here before because we've had to revamp. And the crazy thing is, with less people and a higher concentration of A players, we've actually become more productive because the morale is better, people are very clear on what they need to do. And obviously, when people are let go, those who remain know they need to step their game up. And the reality is, we are gonna refill those seats as these A players become available from other companies. So start getting rid of people who aren't carrying their weight in your business. The third thing you need to do is look at new streams of income for your business. Ideally, the first stream of income you would look at is the easiest, something your clients already need. So this could be in the form of creating a new product or service for them, or potentially affiliating someone else's product or service that you know they're using. Let's just take a realtor, for example. If you have a client who wants to buy a house from you, there are so many other products and services that they need outside of actually just buying the house through you as a realtor. They need to buy furniture, they need insurance, they need a lender for their loan. They're gonna need all the maintenance on the home, like landscape, pool, cleaners. And unfortunately, most realtors get paid $0 for referring out all these different products and services. Why don't you just find a way to get paid on all these different things? It doesn't mean you gotta go out and start all your own businesses, but you can get referral fees or affiliate fees from some of these different companies. Obviously, being a realtor, there's a whole bunch of legal things that you can and can't get paid on, but the point is, with any business, start looking at all the different add-on products and services that your current client or customer would use. In fact, at our last event, I told all of my students at Future Flipper this same exact thing. With houses taking longer to sell, a lot of investors' cash is tied up in these deals and they're just waiting to get paid out. And so you need to figure out how can you make cash in the meantime while you wait. Well, as somebody who's in real estate, there are a bunch of ways to get paid on a day-to-day basis versus just waiting for the flip to sell. If you have a realtor's license, you can go out and actively sell homes. If you already have relationships with contractors, you can go do design and project management for other people. If you've got a big buyers list, you can start co-wholesaling other people's deals. And if you're a student with us, you could just go affiliate Future Flipper to people who don't know about us yet. In fact, I just gave one of our students named Zasha a brand new Rolex because she was our top affiliate. She made over 6 figures just referring people to Future Flipper. So there's lots of ways to build new streams of income within what you're already doing with your business. Now that's the easiest way to do it, but if you're like me, then you could just start brand new businesses that don't exist yet. For instance, we just did a massive launch for my brand new company called Content Empire. Basically, we teach entrepreneurs how to create content, build a personal brand, and turn those views into dollars for their business. This is a business that I think is going to absolutely crush during the recession and in the future as more and more entrepreneurs realize they have to create content. So for me, I've created this whole new revenue stream that didn't exist before the recession that is going to be super beneficial for me in the long run. It can help with cash flow issues, especially as house flips take longer to sell. The 4th tip I want to give you is to triple down on your marketing. We already talked about in tip 1 of reframing your message during marketing, but I also want to add that you need to triple down on what actually works. If you're doing really good with cold calling or texting or Facebook ads, double down on it. Don't just keep doing it at the same rate. If you've got a winner, ride that winner to the fullest. And on the flip side, if you've got a loser or something that's not working as well, then cut it out or slow it down. It doesn't matter how long that marketing stream has worked for. For instance, we have done TV commercials really well the past 3 years. And right now we've made the choice to slow down on our ad spend for multiple reasons. The first being that all of the politicians are buying up the TV ad space. So our cost for a TV commercial has gone through the roof. You mix that with the slower market, and it's just not a great time to be spending all this money on TV commercials. And so even though it's been our best marketing channel the last 3 years, right now at this very moment, it's not something I want to double down on. It's something I actually want to scale back. So we're looking at new ways to subsidize our marketing across all my businesses and figure out what's going to work best during this time. For instance, if you follow me on Instagram, then you're going to see me promoting a lot more webinars. You're gonna see me talking a lot more about meetups. You're gonna see us really pushing affiliates. In years past, we have not really had to do those things in order for us to grow and create revenue. But we know we're gonna have to start doing different things with marketing in order to keep our growth where we want it to be. Tip number 5 is that you've got to watch your money like a hawk. Seriously, I'm joking, but I'm not joking, right? The last couple of years, making money has never been easier because they've been printing more money than ever. And when making money gets easier, people get super lackadaisical with it. They go spend it on a bunch of stuff. They're not really paying attention to what's going in and out because they feel like making money's easy. But the reality is, during a recession, you need to watch this money every single day like a hawk. You need to know every time one of these things goes out of your bank account and every time one comes back in. Those who have good cash management are gonna be able to take advantage of all the deals during the recession, and they're gonna have less stress. The 6th thing you need to look at is strategic partnerships. As I said before, there's gonna be other companies who don't adapt and pivot, and so they're gonna be struggling really bad. And this is the time to look into partnering with them, acquiring them, or even taking their top talent. For instance, right now I'm looking at acquiring a couple of different companies that I would have never had the chance to get a year or 2 ago. And with many of these companies, I won't even have to pay any money to buy them. Their situations are getting really bad, they're running out of cash, and I know I have the resources to have them succeed in my own ecosystem and with my abilities. Right now, companies are more receptive than ever into partnering or even being bought out in the right situation. The seventh thing is you've got to start raising money like crazy. And no, I'm not talking about like literally raising money with your hand. I'm talking about raising money from other people to help you grow your business. Seriously, I'll literally ask anyone and everyone for money. Hey, Sion, let me get some money. Thank you, sir. Actually, let's do it again. It's really hard to grow a business with your own money. All businesses need capital to grow. This is why companies go public on the stock market. This is why they seek out venture capital at early stages. And this is why real estate investors are raising money to go buy more deals. Building any kind of business or any portfolio is really difficult when it's all your own money. I've only been able to accomplish all the things I have because other people have been willing to give me money along the way. So start raising money from family, from friends, from business people, from banks. Build every relationship that you can, because you're gonna have to raise money for everything. Start applying for credit cards, start applying for business lines of credit. There are so many ways to access capital, you just need to make sure you're going through all the different methods. Now, this doesn't mean you gotta go use the money right away. You just need to have as many different avenues as possible to get capital when you need it. All right, we've got a few more to go, and I've also got a bonus tip for you since you've stayed this far. Let's jump into number 8. You need to seek out mentorship, masterminds, and events. Trying to navigate through the recession on your own is gonna be really difficult. This includes myself. I'm so grateful I have so many other people who feed into me on a daily basis. And most of these people that I've met have been in other masterminds or events that I've attended. And I'm grateful for all those people I've met because they've helped me get to this level that I'm currently at today. By doing that, it's opened the door to meet other really successful entrepreneurs who are so much further along the road than I am. Just look at all the people that I've been able to have on my podcast without paying them anything. Guys like Grant Cardone, Patrick Bet-David, Ryan Serhant, Alex Hormozy. I've been able to learn from all these people and grow as an entrepreneur myself because of it. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Ryan, I can't go talk to those people like you can, so what am I supposed to do? Well, you can just go to events and masterminds where these people are speaking. If you went to my last event, you could have talked to me. You could have talked to Hormozy. These people are out there. It's just up to you to go put yourself in that room around these people. Which, by the way, my next event is January 10th through 12th here in Las Vegas, and we got a crazy lineup of speakers and people that can mentor you and speak life into you. Tip number 9 is you need to do an exercise called Think Time. This is something I learned from a book called The Road Less Stupid, and it's something I do every single month. Right here's my journal, and once a month I ask myself difficult questions that I need to figure out the answer to by myself. For example, here on 10/22, I asked myself, what is my focus in business at this point? How do I become more intentional with the overall plan? As you can imagine, this is a pretty deep question to be asking yourself. It's not something you should rush through and just try to get done, but you should really spend time thinking about, writing honest answers with yourself, and that's gonna help you figure out the next moves to be making in your life and your business. The reason I like doing it is because it works the muscles in your brain. So many of us like to turn our brains off and just be entertained. We wanna watch Netflix, we wanna watch YouTube, we want people to tell us what to do. Even when we have our own problems, we just want everyone else to give us the solution. But your brain only gets stronger when you actually use it as a muscle and start thinking about things for yourself and creatively solving problems. And this is exactly what this exercise does. And I can promise you, during this recession, you're gonna have a lot of problems that you need to figure out how to solve. All right, that leads me to tip number 10 before our bonus, which is that you need to start hunting for discounts. You can definitely start buying real estate at discounts. Sellers are more than ready to start taking lower offers than in years past. But there are so many other things that you could be buying in your business right now. Inventory is now starting to pile up. We've had supply chain shortages for the past couple of years, but now you're gonna be able to start getting inventory for cheap. You're probably not gonna have to keep paying over list price on cars here in the very future. You're also gonna be able to get discounts on talent. As more people are looking for jobs, you're not gonna have to pay as much. Also with your vendors, you're gonna be able to get better discounts and work better deals. That leads me to the bonus tip for how to deal with this recession, and that is to avoid all the negativity. Quit watching the YouTubers who are trying to scare you with every single video. Quit reading articles from the media that only talk about doomsday. Is the credit market tightening up with the recession? How's that going?
Yes, great question. So it is tightening up. We're starting to see lenders ask for a few more docs on the business side. But that's fine. You could work around that. It's happening more so on the personal side, where some of the lines that you'd be able to get on a credit side would be like 25K. Now you'll be lucky to get maybe 10. And then even if you have the credit, a lot of them go back in and they'll do like an automatic underwrite, and they'll just go ahead and drop some of your limits, which happens more on the personal side than the business side, which is why we always tell our clients, build business credit even when you don't need it, especially going into uncertain markets like 2023, where you'll turn on the channel on one side, they'll say, hey, market's gonna boom. You'll turn on the channel on the other side, and that finance expert would say, hey, get ready, pinch your pennies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of uncertainty in the market. I mean, what do you think?
It's so hard to say. I did not think that we would get to this point of where we're at. I didn't think they would raise rates to these levels this quickly. And, it sounds like they're still not done. And so I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't like what I'm seeing as far as for everyone, right? For me, I always say this to our students, like the transition's the hardest part, right? So as we transition into this new market and, you got to just deal with the uncertainty. That's the hard part. But once you start coming out of the other side, that's when you're like, okay, finally we've bottomed out. Like now let's roll. We know where things are headed. Yeah. So right now, I think right now is the hardest part for whether you're a real estate investor or, even if you're in business, you're having to adjust now because people are, like you said, going to be tighter with money. There's going to be less, things happening, less transactions overall. So, I just think it's hard to say what's actually going to happen. Now, if you ask me about the real estate market, I do not foresee it like crashing by any means.
No, me either.
No, I see it continuing to just slowly, kind of go down and then eventually flatline. And then, once they lower rates again, because they're going to have to at some point, then I see it just starting to go back
up again. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Even over there in Orlando, like the market's still, you look at some properties and they're just still holding value. So that $600,000 house as of yesterday was like 625. So it's still going up.
Yeah, and every market's different. Like at the end of the day, the thing is, if you would have bought stocks or crypto 6 months ago, 12 months ago, they're down.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Yeah,
some of the best companies in the world are down 50%.
Yeah,
70%. Right. Bitcoin's down, 70% from its peak. Like, it's just they haven't really held. But real estate, even though right now it's slow. I'm glad my money was in real estate.
Yeah.
Versus those
a bunch
things.
Of crypto. Yeah. I mean, and even then in certain markets, whoever knows how to make money, whoever has a game plan behind it, they're going to be able to make money regardless of where the market is.
Right.
Especially in a down market, because there's more people exiting the market. So now there's more market share.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people like, dude, this is such a big opportunity to go out and get better employees because companies are going to be laying people off. This is a great opportunity to get deals. It's a great opportunity to, for us in 2023, we're going to acquire companies. Great time to do that. So, man, there's a lot.
There's going to be a lot.
Yeah. We might have to acquire the credit company, dude.
You guys are going to have to. You're going to have to get some funding for some of these companies.
Yeah.
For all the growing you guys are going to be doing.
Right. Well, I'm saying the credit company for all the people I know are going to need credit.
Yeah.
Like that's a big business.
That is a big business.
You would know.
I'm in that. Listen, I'm in that. So whether somebody's a startup, I think what was the number on it? Like 5 million, right? I'm having in front of me, but like 5 million new startups, like brand new businesses in 2022 alone, and counting, right? Not including some of the mergers, not including some of the people that are already in business, which it's exciting, man. I think 2020, things happened, but I think a lot of people realize that one source of income is too close to none.
Yeah, it could be wiped out tomorrow.
It could be wiped out tomorrow.
Right.
I kind of want to talk about what it's like trying to buy your first either home or maybe your first rental property. It's something you're actually going through right now. So I'm excited to talk about like what your thought process is and kind of go through some different things that I'm sure many people are wondering about.
Oh, it's, I mean, I kind of did it wild too. I heard that Tesla and Apple, they're moving their headquarters down to Austin, Texas. So, I mean,
did you hear that from my YouTube video?
No, it was before your YouTube video.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're on the same like research pages of stuff first, but, I was checking out the market out there. Plus I love Austin. Have you ever been?
No, I haven't.
Dude, you got to get out there. It's a blast.
What do they say? It's weird?
It's very weird.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
It's weird and it's fun, but so I wanted to jump on the market because the houses are relatively not that expensive. Plus, you know, they're all real nice.
Yeah.
Everybody out there is nice.
What is so cool about Austin? Why are all these tech companies moving there?
You know, I'm gonna say land. Probably there's a lot of space that's out there and around the surrounding Austin zones. I mean, it used to be all farm stuff. You see a lot of like flattened out cornfields.
Yeah.
You know, and then the only thing that's the downside, you know, there's no state tax that's out there. Property tax is expensive though.
Yeah, I've heard that in Texas. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they got to pay for those giant like football stadiums. That's the
high school stadiums.
Yeah.
The high school stadiums are nicer than UNLV stadium.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
It's a full on Friday night weekend event out there for you know, any kind of high school football stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, they're all superstars.
So you're buying in Austin, and we'll talk about that deal later on in the podcast individually. But let's talk about some things that I'm sure many people are wondering, especially like I said, if you're trying to buy your very first home or you're trying to buy your first investment, something like that. So the number one thing I get asked is, are we in a bubble? Is the market going to crash? Like, you know, what's going to happen since coronavirus and everything that's going on? Well, well, actually, let me ask you, is that something that you thought about?
You know what, right now I'm thinking of the long term, so I'm not really scared of a bubble.
Right.
You know, I feel like it's something can recover in 10 years. It'll be fine. I think the bubble moves. You know, like we had the dot-com bubble in 2000, and then we had the housing crisis in 2008.
Yeah.
And, you know, now we're going to be, I don't know. Have you looked at used car prices recently?
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah.
The luxury cars are insane. It's funny, like the craziest assets are appreciating right now. Like boats are the most expensive they've ever been.
Break out another 1,000. That's what boat stands for.
Break out another 1,000.
Yeah. When it comes to maintenance, break out another 1,000 because it's just... It's not going to appreciate.
Yeah. And I can just tell you too, you know, I just bought a piece of land that I'm going to build my new house on. And the reason was I looked at the luxury home prices and they were ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, I thought we're in a recession. Like there's a pandemic going on. People don't have jobs. Mm-hmm. But the reality is the pandemic has created kind of like an even bigger wealth gap. Like the rich got richer, you know, like the rich got the PPP loans. They got... You know, the people who had these digital type businesses thrived, like Amazon. Yeah. You know, what did Elon and Jeff Bezos end up being worth after the pandemic? They like doubled. They each gained like $100 billion in net worth or something crazy.
Oh yeah, brick and mortar stores are closing left and right too.
So it's like this wealth gap is widening and like it's being redistributed. Mm-hmm. And I think it goes back to, you know, just like the bubble and stuff. Are we in one? Well, to me, it just really depends what side of the fence you're on, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because I just don't see any way that housing drops with what they're doing. And I would say it should drop if there was no government interference. But the fact that we have so much interference now, to me, it's like they're signaling, hey, we're not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, as long as interest rates stay low, and I think that housing is going to be fairly, you know, it's going to stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Interest rates are staying low. Inventory is at all-time lows nationwide. You know, demand has never been greater than it is today. I mean, people are wanting to leave apartments and condos because they want some yards and the suburbs. You know, you're seeing people leave the coast like California, like New York, and they're trying to go to Vegas and Tampa and all these things. And you know, it's funny because I've done those YouTube videos and they are my best videos. Like they have hundreds of thousands of views just talking about why everyone's leaving California, which is one of those was, hey, they're leaving to go to Austin. Yeah. They're leaving to go to Vegas. And even those markets where people are still leaving, they're getting replaced by new people. So those markets are still hot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what's that rule in California that they're proposing? It's like an income tax rule where you have to continue paying California even after you leave.
That was what that video is about. When I first made that video, I never thought that it would like go viral or anything. But it was just like this BS rule that I saw. I was like, no way they're going to try and do that. Essentially, they're trying to propose that if you leave California, you still will owe them income tax. It's like, how can you owe them income? Like, you're going to pay this other state income tax if they have it. You're going to pay twice.
Yeah.
Like, you have the choice to leave. It's like they're going to hold you hostage. And they're talking about retroactively doing it. So it's like, even if you move there in, say, 2019, call it, they're like, oh, well, if you lived here in 2016, you still got to pay 2017, 2018, 2019. Like, how can you do that?
That's impossible. Like, hey, by the way, you owe me another 115 grand.
Yeah, you totally, made a smart move to leave so you could not pay this, but we're still going to hit you for it.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do? Take your property in California? I mean, how are they going to?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it, but the fact that they're even trying to propose it is like one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
That's ridiculous. It's like, I never got that bill.
No. So anyways, I just think no matter where you're at, I don't think we're in a bubble. I do think it's an awesome time to buy a home, mainly because I do think prices are going up.
Yeah, that's one of the things why I jumped in Austin so quick. I was like, I don't want these prices to shoot up anymore. I've been looking at Zillow and Trulia and all that stuff, and it's plus 10 grand this month.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait another month because I don't want it to be a plus 30 grand.
Right. What would you say is the future for 2023? Like, I mean, we're talking about this recession getting nasty. I mean, what do you think happened with rates? What do you think's happening with all this?
Rates going to continue to go up. And I will tell you something else. Elon Musk just was quoted. I mean, he's the richest guy in the world, so I got to kind of listen to what he says. And he just said that if they don't drop the rates immediately, it's going to really be ugly. And they're not dropping them. They're going to continue to go up. They've already said they were. They're going to continue to raise through 20. You really want to go down that rabbit hole?
Yeah,
that's a political rabbit hole, man. I mean, I got to be careful because I want to be careful. I mean, I'm very strongly opinioned about what's happening in this country. I think this current administration, it's almost like it's intentional. They're train wrecking this country.
Yeah.
I mean, inflation is because they printed money for the last 2 or 3 years, and then this whole student loan thing to buy votes, half a trillion, and they say it's going to be $1 trillion if it actually goes through, which just creates more inflation. The rates isn't the solution. The solution is to minimize the liquidity. They're doing that quantitative tightening instead of easing.
Right.
So they're minimizing the money supply. But that's what created it was pretending money is free and printing it. I'm worried about the value of the dollar. Honestly, I'm in a lot of cash right now and let me just say this. I'm a real bear. I think it's going to be ugly, but I'm not saying that for you to be afraid. I'm saying that for you to get freaking excited because there's going to be incredible opportunities. So how do you get ready for that? You get in as much cash as you can, or realize this. Multifamily real estate, in my case, takes money, but it doesn't have to be your own money. And I'm sure you could say the same thing about single family. There's a lot of money looking for a home, getting killed in the stock market.
That money got printed. It's out there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of money looking for a home. I mean, getting killed in the stock market. We won't even talk about crypto. Good God, what a debacle that is with FTX so it's looking for a home. So if you build relationships now, you learn this business. Here's what I want to say. Now is the time to get up to speed as fast as freaking possible. If you're going to buy businesses, go learn that. If you're going to do single family, you're in the right place for that. If you're going to do multifamily, get your ass to my boot camp, but don't wait. Get up to speed right now, because if you're trying to learn it in the thick of it, it's going to be too late.
Right.
You've got to build relationships. You've got to know how to underwrite deals. You've got to, stub your toe a few times and get up to speed. But man, you get up to speed, you could literally create legacy wealth for yourself, your kids, their kids, their kids, and their kids.
Oh,
that's what could happen.
I agree 100%. I think that there's a lot of opportunity. As I was telling you before, for me looking at 2023 and all the opportunities, we're definitely going to be buying real estate.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be taking businesses that,
Love it.
can't figure it out.
Love it.
So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the transition's what's going to be hard.
Oh, it'll be painful.
The transition's the hard part.
Yeah, it'll be painful holding the stuff you buy together while you're transitioning. You're absolutely right. And you buy businesses, you're going to have to, I think it's incredible.
They're going to be negative.
They're going to be negative. You need to bring them online as fast as possible. I think that's a great opportunity. Ty Lopez does that. Very successfully.
Yep.
And so, there's going to be opportunity to do that. And And of course, in real estate, every asset class, but I wouldn't do shopping centers right now with the Amazon dynamic. Definitely wouldn't do office. A lot of businesses are they're remote.
Is big right now.
Warehouse is still good. Warehouse is good. Self-storage is good. Mobile home parks are good, but I wouldn't do office or retail right now. Multifamily is extraordinary. I mean, the reason I love multifamily is, when COVID hit, retail didn't get any money, industrial didn't get any money, office didn't get any money. Well, we got hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent relief on some of our assets.
Right.
And back in the 08 and 9 crash, multifamily rents exceeded pre-crash levels in less than 3 years from the crash. That's how fast it rebounded.
It just rebounded that quick.
That's it.
So, what do you think, I guess, is the reason for continuing to raise rates then? I want to hear, because
that's the only mechanism they have. That's all they can do, and so they have no choice. There's nothing else except for the quantitative tightening. They're like not buying the bonds anymore. Or some of these other strategies, I haven't got a clue how they work, but they're trying to minimize the supply of money. But again, then they print this student loan. Don't get me started. It's like it's almost like it's intentional, but.
Yeah.
I hope it's not, because it's really nefarious if it is. But
that's the thing that Grant keeps implying every time we're around him. He's like,
really?
I don't, to me, I don't see why you would keep doing it, unless there's an agenda.
Yeah, I think there's an agenda. But again, that's a rabbit hole that will probably piss off a few people. But if you are... Nah, I'm going to leave it alone.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll talk off camera about it.
Yeah, okay. I
don't care. I don't care if people get mad.
No.
I just try to get to all points of view for why to do this.
Well, that's why I listen to Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan. I mean, Tim Ferriss is as liberal as it gets. Joe hates Trump, but he's not a liberal. He's fairly conservative, I think.
Hey, all I'm trying to do is just make the best decision for me.
That's it. And my students.
Yeah.
I want to guide my
both
students.
Perspectives. I want to know.
Yeah, that's why I listen to both.
Biden is doing what he's doing. What is the plan? I want to know why.
Well, first of all, I don't think he's doing any of it. Just FYI.
Everyone would know that.
Yeah.
I think everyone agrees. Biden's not doing anything on his own.
Right.
So it's interesting to see what's really going down. And
I don't think anybody freaking knows. I mean, sure, there's a handful of people that know, but you can't trust anything on the news right now. Even Fox, I
do like that Elon's brought Twitter to be.
Oh, me too, man. Thank God. I hope he doesn't get killed. I mean, seriously, I worry about him. I really do, man, because he's going head to head. In fact, he even mentioned it. He's like, I'm not suicidal, and I'm like, he said that, and I hope he's got a hell of a bodyguard team. But yeah, it's like, and people are like, oh, I hate it that he's owns it and stuff, but it's just free speech, for God's sakes. Why? How can you argue against that? In my opinion, I don't know how you could argue against it if it's just free speech.
Yeah,
that's what this country's all about, right?
Yeah, I did not realize when he bought this that he was going to open up this giant rabbit hole.
Neither did I. But
I thought he's just buying Twitter just because he's like, it'll be a good deal. And then he's trying to back out.
He's a smart guy. I actually, there's that, is it WeChat in China?
Yep.
I mean, you can pay for everything.
Yep.
It's like you
Super
can't
app.
live without it. It's a super app. I think he has designs for Twitter for that. And he's a smart guy. Did he say it? Okay.
Yeah, he said it. He's bringing back Vine to Twitter. So they're going to have their short form video. He wants, Messenger app. He wants all the things, Uber, everything on it.
I would not bet against him. That's all I can say. I'm writing a chapter for a book that I'm in, and one of the questions was, who would you love to have a meal with, past or present? It's definitely him. I mean, the guy's freaking off the hook, brilliant.
Yeah, when you're able to start not just one massive company.
$3 billion startups, brother. 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. $1 billion plus startups. And,
It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking about Biden not inviting him to the electric vehicle thing that they had. Like, seriously? How petty is that? I mean, his market share is bigger than all of them combined, and he didn't get invited. So it's kind of,
No, it just
none of that stuff makes the mainstream news, though. That's what's crazy. A lot of people probably just hearing that for the first time. If you're watching CNN, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, and NBC, you're not going to hear a lot of the stuff. I would encourage you to watch both sides of the aisle. Suffer through Fox if you hate it, and listen to both sides. That's how you really get educated. You can start to draw some conclusions. But there's a huge political influence, as we all know, on not just media but social media as well. So that's why Twitter is so exciting.
And like I said, for me, I just want to know all the information to make the best decision for me.
That's it.
I don't care if somebody has favor or it's rigged or anything. I just want to know.
Right. And I feel exactly the same way. And, my wife is black and she is a staunch conservative. I mean, big time. In fact, she was, we were down at.
So is she a big fan of Candace Owens?
Oh yeah. But Trump, really, she's a big fan of Trump. We were down on Lincoln Road in South Beach, and we'd had a couple drinks, and I've never said this publicly, but I'll screw it. And she sees a guy with a Trump hat, and he was videoing. She's like, "Yay, Trump!" She'd had a couple drinks, and he interviewed her, and it went viral on TikTok because she talked about how she loved that Trump is against sexual trafficking, human trafficking, and she's beautiful, so obviously that didn't help. But it went viral, it had like 2.5 million views, and then they took it down. And all she did was say she loved Trump and she loved that he was against human trafficking. Why would that be censored? Help me understand that.
Yeah,
makes no sense.
TikTok took it down.
Yeah, TikTok took it down. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Anyway, yeah, so.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, TikTok's got its own agenda.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole there. Yeah, that's a whole nother one there with the Chinese. Wow. But
what are you seeing with like development and everything? So like, I'll give you an example. One of my friends is one of the biggest, he actually is the biggest developer in Vegas. And so they build all of the massive A+ multifamily.
Nice.
9-figure deals.
Nice.
And so he raises hundreds of millions a year. And, he raises it from Wall Street, right? That's how he does it.
That's how he does it. Okay.
Yep. And, it got me thinking too. I'm like, dang, dude, like, okay, social media, definitely great for what you and I are doing, what Grant's
smaller
doing.
Stuff, 50, 60 million tops.
And he was telling me, he goes, dude, I mean, they won't even look at your deals. It's too small.
Right.
Right. And I'm thinking,
but you're going to pay a pretty good percentage, so the numbers really have to pencil out. But listen, I'm tracking you, and I'm thinking about it myself. Is to get in with a Wall Street house to raise hundreds of millions, because I will tell you, it beats the hell out of the stock market. It's secured by real estate. It beats
they're looking for investments.
Oh, I know they are.
Yeah.
And now and I'm going to tell you, in the current economic environment that we're in, raising money for development is much harder than an existing asset.
Which he's saying.
Yeah, and
he's saying it's very hard now.
Right. So,
but it's kind of dumb because this would be the time to develop.
I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree, but investors, I will tell you though, in 2008 and 2009, it's those developers that were midstream that died first.
Yeah.
They got killed. Okay. And so, you'd see all these half-built developments.
But I'm saying, like, if you were to go get funding on a project today, knowing we're already in a recession.
Right.
And, we're going to continue to go through it. So it's like, it's already priced in to what you're doing. And knowing that for the next, say it's going to take your development 2 years to get done. Right. If we are in a recession, you're going to get cheaper labor, cheaper materials, everything's on sale. You're going to come out of the recession 2 years from now.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
And like, to me, it seems like if you could get development approved right now, this very moment, that is a extremely safe play.
I don't disagree. If you can raise the money.
Yeah.
That's the caveat. And so, and that is the big one. Because I'm going to tell you, Ryan, finding the deals is what was hard these last few years.
Now it's going to be the money.
It's going to be the money, both debt and equity.
Right.
We're looking at an assumption right now, and that because you can still assume loans, and you have to raise the capital, but it's going to be raising the money that's the challenge. And here's the thing again that I want to, those of you listening, I want to caveat is exciting stuff is coming. Warren Buffett's famous quote: "Be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful." Okay, there's been a lot of greed these last couple of years. A lot of questionable deals were done, deals that were done with operators that were brand new to the space, have never gone through a contraction, and they could have their butts handed to them. But Again, be greedy when others are fearful, and fear is coming. You know, there's a ton of layoffs happening right now. Facebook laid off 11,000 or 10,000. Amazon. Can you believe that? You know, that's shocking. That was shocking to me. You're right. And they laid off 10, 11,000 people. And, you know, all of the tech companies are laying off. Big car manufacturers are laying off. So there's a, you know, there are a lot of layoffs happening. And I think there's going to be a lot more. And so, you know, certainly a lot of the big banks are as well. They're mortgage departments because real estate's slowed way down. You know, it's cost double to buy what you could have bought a year ago, you know, in the single family space, and commercial has gone up too. We bought an asset a year ago. There's 3.2% interest. This last one in Nashville was 5.4. That's a significant increase. I mean, and when you're talking about a multi-million-dollar asset, that is a big deal. And so, you know, a lot of these deals that were done the last couple of years were done with bridge debt, you know, which is like the hard money lender equivalent in the single family space. That's what bridge lenders are. And, you know, for the most part, now there's some big national billion-dollar companies, but still it's very onerous debt. It's adjustable rate mortgages. It's short-term, typically 3 years, sometimes 3-1-1 where you can get 5 years. But even, and you had to buy, this last year, you had to buy rate caps. Prior to that, there weren't even rate caps. We were looking at an asset in San Antonio that the guy, his reserves with his bridge lender went from $8,000 to $80,000 a month. Whoa. Yeah. And we didn't, unfortunately couldn't buy the deal. It didn't make sense for us, but there's going to be a lot of that. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunity. Even if it's a milder recession, those deals are still in big trouble. I think there's about, I don't know, 60 billion or something in those that are maturing that they don't think are going to be able to refinance. Because, you know, when you buy an asset like that, a big asset, you've got to take a look at what your liquidation event's going to be. You know, if you're going to sell it or you're going to refinance it in 4 or 5 years, what's the interest rate at that point if you're going to refinance it? Because you've got to meet debt service coverage requirements. The debt, you know, the property's ability to service the debt. Or what's the cap rates? Are you going to be able to sell it? Let me give you the definition of a bad day. You do a short-term loan right now, and you've got a nice cash flowing asset, and the value's not there, so you can't refinance it or sell it. That's a bad day, right? And so I think there's going to be quite a bit of that as well. People that have to sell, not people that want to sell. So, you know, again, it's opportunity.
What do you think about, you know, you see these companies, I think it was JP Morgan saying, we're going to buy $1 billion of single family in 2023.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that model, you know, God, I could have done that back in 08 and 09. It just, you know, I was hiding under a rock at the time, and I wish I wasn't because, you know.
You're licking your wounds.
Yeah, I was, man. I totally was. And there were a lot of big players. That BlackRock came into the picture there. Fortress came in. They bought thousands and thousands in Vegas, in California. The places that got hit really the hardest, like Vegas and California and Florida, they bought thousands and thousands of homes. You know, it's now a proven model. So, you know, hey, they're looking for returns just like everybody else is. And they know that if they can buy houses at cents on the dollar and rent them out, the returns are there. They've got to meet, you know, they've got to keep
the money moving.
They've got to keep that money moving, and they've got to get the returns for their investors. So, you know, you want to go conspiracy, you know, BlackRock owns the largest share. They own everything. Pfizer, Moderna, all the media companies, including Fox, all of them. And so, yeah, you want to go conspiracy. But
yeah, I was reading a thing the other day. It was like, I don't remember the exact details of it, but it was something like BlackRock manages like $17 trillion worth of things. And I was like, there's $17 trillion worth of stuff in the world. That's a lot of stuff. And these guys have their hands in all of it. So, yeah.
They have some incredible power, incredible control. And, you know, again, you want to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, you know, that'd be a place to look.
BlackRock.
Yeah. Well, these Vanguard, these huge, giant organizations that have so much power.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone listening to this is probably like, dang, dude, this is scary.
No, don't. Please. That's not what I want. Get freaking excited, man. Get excited. Again, you don't need your own money. You got to have money, but you can raise the money. So that's why you got to get up to speed as fast as possible.
You got to get good at finding deals.
That's it. You got to get good at building relationships, finding deals, and all of that. So get up to speed now. Don't freaking be here 2 years from now saying, I wish I'd have listened to them when they talked about this.
So, you know, speaking of YouTube and stuff, it's funny because I don't remember where we were at but this was like what, 2.5 years ago.
We were in Phoenix, bro.
Yeah, we were in Phoenix, but I don't even remember why we were.
What we were doing. We were having dinner, and I'm blanking right now.
We were at Doug's house.
Doug's house. There you go.
Yeah, we were at Doug's house.
And you and I remember this conversation because
hey, I'll let you tell it.
This conversation is so good. So you and I both were like, dude, I want to get serious about social media. I want to get serious about YouTube. YouTube's the future. We were just like basically same subscribers, right? You have catapulted to like the stratosphere, and I can't figure it out. I can't even get close to figuring it out.
Well, I think when we first, before that, I had already been trying, or, you know, I had already been committed for a couple of months, and I was telling you, I was like, hey, this is like what I'm doing. This is why it's important. And you were like, all right, dude, like I'm going to do it. And, you know, I think, like I said, 2.5 years ago, it's kind of revealed that, yeah, it is super important, and it's going to continue to become more and more important. What do you think like your journey has been? Because when I look at you, I look at like another entrepreneur who understands its importance. And I see a lot of people who are trying to get into social media now. What would you say to those entrepreneurs that like, you know, that you've learned the last 2.5 years?
Yeah. Specific to social media, YouTube type thing, or just in general?
In general with social media. Yeah.
It's a must, and it'll always be a must. You just highlighted that. Like, this is the wave of the future. That was one thing 2.5 years ago. You and I were like, dude, that it will be and will always be. Everyone will be online. It was highlighted even more during COVID, right? And maybe you can talk to that. Like, I feel like your massive growth on TikTok because you got really, I mean, everyone was at home. You're like, I'm going all in, like all in, all in, all in. And you did it. And so I'd call you and you'd be like, hey, dude, I like what you got, but you might want to pivot this, right? And I'd ask for advice. But the reality is, like, it doesn't matter. As an entrepreneur, it is borderline foolish not to be all in on content in general. TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the platforms, to be all in on it, because there's a Gary Vee model, and Gary just put something out I thought was really interesting, which was he's always been about like, just keep going, keep putting it out, and something will hit and be consistent. His whole thing has been consistency. He just put something out saying, I'm not changing my tune on that, but create different stuff, right? Like the talking face isn't working the way it used to. Yeah. You need to now create some of the, you know, more charismatic, changing how you're putting out that content, because that will help to virality, right? Going viral and having the million things. Yep. You just really hit it right. You did the right things at the right time. I mean, I give you a lot of credit to that, because I to this day am like trying to figure out YouTube, right? It's just, and I'd put out content. I put up 5 pieces of content every week. But I'm not going to stop. I might have to adapt. The same thing we're talking about the real estate. Yeah. I might have to adapt, change my style, change how I deliver content. Great.
Yeah. And the reason I wanted to highlight it was because this is what I see is that, you know, I had a lot of success quick, which was great, but I did go into it. And I told you this 2.5 years ago before I had success. I had a few thousand subscribers, I think, when we were first talking. I go, I'm going to keep at this for the foreseeable future for years. And I don't know how long it's going to take to hit or figure it out, but I know it's going to be worth it. And I'm going to just keep doing it and keep doing it. And, you know, it hit quicker than I thought. And it's been fantastic. But what I respect about you and, you know, and there's actually not many entrepreneurs like you, is that you have stayed with it and you've had some degree of success in certain areas. You know, like you said with YouTube, you've been struggling to figure that one out, even though you're constantly putting out content and things. And what I can say is I respect that, because most entrepreneurs, they'll do it for a month and they don't get results and they quit. Absolutely. They do it for a few months. They don't get results. They quit. So to stick with it is super important. And like my belief is that, you know, if you're willing to put in the work and do what's necessary, then it really just becomes two things. It's either strategy or refining skill. And so it's like, and this is with anything, not just social media, right? Totally. If you want to have success, you got to have the right strategies and you got to just continue to get better at it. And, you know, I think that that's all it is for anyone trying to grow. It's just like, okay, if YouTube is not working right now, then change. You have to change whatever you're doing. Don't just continue to do the same
That's
thing.
right.
You know, with TikTok, like you said too, if this has worked for me anyways, let's just say talking heads, just straight up looking at the camera right now has worked this way, you know, for the past few years. That's great. Does it mean it'll work tomorrow? No. Like, just like the way I bought houses 6 months ago.
Totally.
It doesn't work the way it does today. So it's like, man, this is why education and everything else is so vital, because if you are just thinking the way that you've learned something from a year ago or 5 years ago is all you need, and that's all that's, you know, going to be necessary for your success, then you're gonna have a tough time adapting.
I think, and I think you just put out your social media.
Yeah, content empire.
And great timing, right? Because what you just hit on is what I'm trying to echo even in the content I'm putting out is, if you had education a year ago in the real estate space, that's not necessarily the same. It doesn't have the same application potentially today as it did a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure, whether it's masterminds, coaching, that you're up to date with the things that are changing, adapting, so you can be in alignment with that. Because to what we're just talking about, you have to pivot if you're not seeing the results. There's something there, whether it's strategy, whatever it is, or the process that you're doing it. You have to make pivots, and it's universal amongst entrepreneurs. Doesn't matter what, real estate, social media, whatever. If what you're currently doing over time isn't working, you have to adjust.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that for you, and this was the point I was bringing out too, is that you adjust, you don't quit.
Right.
Right. Because a lot of people say, well, this thing doesn't work. You know, it's not working for me, therefore it doesn't work.
Totally.
You know, I'm out. And, you know, I guess there is certain times for ideas or maybe businesses where it's like, this isn't working. It's like, okay, let's try a different business or a different product or whatever. But when it comes to things like, let's just say things that we know are always going to be around and are always going to work. Real estate is always going to be around.
That's right.
You know, so learning to find deals and get good at sales, no matter what the market's doing, is going to be a very key skill you should always figure out if you want to be in real estate, right? Social media. Hey, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, which majority of you listening are, it's like, this is only going to keep getting bigger. And so if you're not good at it now, it's probably going to be even more important that you become good at it in the future. So you might as well start now, right?
Yep.
So I think it's just like you have to continue to start honing in your skills, even if they don't make you money right now.
I think I posted something that I think you'll fully agree. Success doesn't come without failure.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible. Everyone sees the level of success you've had, right? They've followed you for a long time. You have a huge, but there's failures along that path too. That's why you're here.
Oh yeah.
Right. And to your point, I'm not going to quit on YouTube because I know it works in like 100%. There's no doubt. I just need to adapt and I need to change. And the only way I fail is by quitting.
Yeah.
But having failures along the way isn't me failing. It's just challenges, right? It's part of the process. There's real estate deals I've done where I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. In one, I've lost 7 figures. Okay, so I need to look at that, take the lesson, and keep going, not just quit because it didn't work or I got punched in the face. I don't know any losses you've had, but I'm sure there are some.
Mm-hmm.
You adapt, you learn, you figure it out, and then you keep going. There's no reason for people to think if they make a mistake, they lose some money on a deal, their YouTube's not working to the where they want it to be. Whatever the thing is,
right?
That's why you got to be committed to what you're doing.
I get a lot of people who tell me that. They're like, Ryan, what market's the best market to invest in? They're like, we see you're in Vegas. Why don't you buy a ton of Vegas rentals? We see you're in Big Bear. You know, should we buy in Big Bear? And it's funny. We were talking about this our last episode we filmed together. I don't know your situation or what you're capable of or any, like, I can't tell you what's the best market. It's going to really depend on you. Mm-hmm. And one thing I've always said about real estate markets, especially when it comes to rental property, because what I will say is with flips, it really doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to flip it and make your money. If you buy it extremely discounted, you can flip it and make money really fast.
Yeah.
But the long term, like you had mentioned, is like, hey, even if it crashed tomorrow, I plan to hold this long term. It's going to recover.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you bought a house in 2007, if you held it till today, you're looking really good.
Yeah.
You just paid off 13 years of principal plus, you know, it's worth more today. You know, so even if you had the worst timing in the history of real estate, you were fine 10 years later.
Dude, did you know the house that I bought in 2008? I bought it super discounted because it was originally foreclosed, and I paid $210 for it or something like that. And when it, 2010, they were like, yeah, it's only worth 107. And I was like, whoa, it was already discounted. How is it, even less?
Right.
And it's back up now. I mean, it's
probably worth 300
now. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, if I would have held onto that house, it wouldn't have,
If you could have found a way to rent it out, and have somebody else pay it down, you'd be sitting on a really nice asset.
Yeah, I'd have a chunk. I mean, that was 12 years ago.
Right. And so that's why I think right now is a great time to buy, especially if you're a buy and hold guy. And so really, if you do make the decision, like you're agreeing with what I'm saying right now, and you said, okay, the market's not going to crash, but even if it does,
it's not going to be a problem.
It's not going to be a big problem because I'm getting such cheap debt, like you mentioned. I mean, rates are in the 2%, like they're literally giving money away. And the reason they're doing that is because they want more money in the economy. The more loans they lend out, the more money that's in the economy. And that's how it works. That's economics. And I would just say, I've done quite a few YouTube videos on this. If you guys don't follow, subscribe to my main channel, go to Ryan Pineda on YouTube, and you'll see a bunch of rental property videos I've done. And the main question you got to ask yourself with every market is, am I looking for appreciation or am I looking for cash flow? Because it's very difficult to get both in the same market. For instance, Vegas, I've got rentals out here and the cash flow sucks. At the end of the day, my mortgage might be $1,500 on a property and it rents for $1,800. It's not good.
Yeah.
Once you take in property management, I might actually be losing money.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I'm getting a lot of benefits that offset that. I'm getting tax write-offs. I'm getting principal pay down. I'm getting appreciation. And so I'm okay with the trade-off. And I also know that in like 5 years, 10 years, it's going to actually cash flow really good. I mean, it may be $1,800 today. 5 years from now, what's it going to be? $2,300?
Yeah.
$2,500? 10 years from now, $3,000? And then we're looking really good.
Yeah.
So for me anyways, this is why I say everyone's situation is unique. I can be okay not making any money cash flow wise. Or in fact, even if it's vacant, cover the mortgage and be okay.
Yeah.
But that's not everyone's situation. If you can't afford to do that, you should not take that strategy, But the other side of the coin is cash flow. And so a lot of people go to these Midwest states. I use the Midwest a lot because that is where on paper the best cash flow is. I mean, you could get a house for $100,000, $150,000 and it rents for, $1,000, $1,500. Like it rents way better.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like those don't really appreciate the way the Vegas homes appreciate. That house in 2010 that you had, for $100,000.
Yeah.
The house is worth $300,000 now, 3x, 10 years later. That $100,000 house in the Midwest, what was it going for 10 years ago?
Yeah. The Austin area that I was looking at, there's a town called Pflugerville. It was like a year ago, the house was going for a 175. Now it's 260.
Right. That's where I want to be personally. Yeah. I would much rather get the appreciation just because my position, I don't need to make another couple $100 every month. That doesn't really excite me.
Yeah.
But that's, like I said, it's not saying that it's wrong. I know a lot of people, even some of my students, they have like 50 rental units in the Midwest and, they're making $200, $300 a unit and they're making really good cash flow. And, it's a good strategy if I would say you're in that market and you understand it. Guys like us in Vegas trying to invest in Ohio.
Yeah.
Probably not going to end up well.
Well, plus you have to have somebody there that you trust that, can keep an eye on your property and,
Right.
That's work on its own, just trying to find somebody that can do that for you.
Right.
Brian, how's it going, bro?
Good, bro.
Pleasure to meet you, man.
Yeah, dude. So we're already in an alternative living space right here.
That's right. It's a 20-foot shipping container.
This is a shipping container that you converted into an office.
That's right.
How often do people do that?
It's pretty common, especially, ever since COVID, we've gotten a lot of requests for people that want to do basically remote offices, work from home. And so we've been doing a lot of units. We ship them nationwide. And so,
do you just put them in their backyards and they have a new office space or what?
It depends, yeah. In some areas, it's as simple as that. In other areas, it can be a little bit more complicated, but most of them are using them as backyard offices.
Wow. So this is a 20-foot container. I mean, obviously you got everything you need in here. It's AC'd, you know. We're in Vegas right now in the middle of the summer, but it's still fine.
Yeah.
So you guys can pretty much turn any container into whatever somebody wants.
You're right. Yeah, so we've done a lot of stuff. We've done offices, gyms, pool houses, obviously homes.
Yeah.
Coffee shop, so
yeah.
things.
And I was looking around before we started filming and it looks like you got a bunch of different things going on. So I want to see these and kind of get an idea of what they cost and how profitable they really are.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Cool. Your space right here, you've got all this workstation and you know, you're in the middle of like, it looks like a junkyard and all this stuff around. So like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so very industrial space. This area where we specifically are doing our builds is really utilizing containers. So we have two 40-foot containers, a tent that is designed for containers. So it was kind of the most affordable and practical space that we could create without maybe investing 200 grand into a big warehouse space.
Yeah, no, I think it works great for what you're doing. You just sublease this from, one of the buildings over here?
That's right.
Yeah,
so we just sublease the space and it works out really well.
Yeah, so I see right here, you've got this little, would you call it even a camper? What would you call this?
So this is a vintage, the technical name is a scamp, is the trailer type.
Okay.
But we picked it up off of basically a website that they sell these used. We got it out of Arizona for about $4,500.
45, okay.
We're gonna convert this, probably put another 5 grand into it, do a really cool custom paint job on the exterior, and then we'll put it on outdoorsy as a nightly rental, probably for about $120 a night.
$120 a night. So you're gonna keep this one as your own kind of income stream.
Correct. Yep.
So you'll be all into it for 10 grand.
Yep.
It'll get $120 a night. How much do you think that'll be a year? How often will it rent?
Yeah, I think this one will probably get on average about 15 nights a month.
15 nights a month. I mean, so you're talking almost $2,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So let's just say conservatively, it's $1,500 a month. You know, you're talking about making $18,000 a year.
You're right.
And it only costs you 10.
Yeah. It's a good little, I'd say outdoorsy, especially here in Vegas. Vegas is the #2 market in the US for RV rentals.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of competition right now, especially when it comes to like unique spaces. So this one, we'll probably paint it like bright blue on the bottom, a really nice white on the top.
Yep.
The interior is going to be very creative and unique finishes.
Yeah.
And so it'll really stand out on there.
So what is outdoorsy?
Yeah, it's basically Airbnb for RVs.
Got it. Okay, so people go on there, they know they're gonna get an RV, and where do you even place this?
Yeah, so basically we'll store all of our rentals here at our yard, and people basically fly in. So everyone that we've worked with so far that has rented our units, they fly in from all over the US. They come straight from the airport here to pick up the camper van or whatever it is they're renting.
Yeah.
Then they'll take it out for 7 days, go to all the national parks, and then come right back.
Okay, so this one's not in any permanent situation.
Correct.
They're gonna come pick it up, their own car, and they're good.
Yeah.
But this one right here
Yeah.
looks much more permanent.
You're right. Yeah, this one's heavy. Yeah, it weighs a lot of weight.
So let's look at this.
Yeah.
So this is a container that you guys have already converted to an actual home.
You're right. Yeah, this one's gonna go to Oakland, California. It's gonna be an ADU, so it'll be a second unit on a property. She's gonna use it as a rental.
Okay. So, I mean, it's pretty small. I mean, obviously it's got a tub and everything else. You got your bathroom, you got a little kitchen. I assume your dining table might be like right here.
Yeah, we do a fold up, basically like a fold up bar table.
Okay.
It'll flap against the wall, it'll fold out. Right here we do a sofa Murphy bed.
Okay.
So sofa during the day, poles down at night.
Ah.
And your TV will go right up here in this space. And then in terms of like wardrobe space, we do have an option to do a floor to ceiling wardrobe. And you can do like a combo washer dryer too.
Okay, so how big is this square footage wise?
It's 160 square feet.
160 square feet. So this is technically a tiny home.
Yeah.
It's just built in a container.
You're right.
Okay. What, like, are you guys all into making one of these for?
Yeah, so we have a few different ways you can build out these units. So this one is an RV model, so it's on wheels. So we have to account for the cost for the trailer, but then there are off wheels models as well. The benefit of the RV model is it gets around a lot of permitting in terms of building code. If you're
because it's not a structure.
You're right. So you can put it anywhere an RV can go.
Okay.
So that's why the whole tiny house movement's all on wheels.
Oh, okay.
So if you go not on wheels and more like our base model, they start as low as 36 grand.
Okay.
If you start going on wheels, base you're like at 50, and then we have luxury type build outs as well. This is kind of in the middle. Our luxury build-out's gonna have like additional windows on this side. We convert the container doors into all glass entry doors.
Right.
And those can run even upward of like 75 to 80.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the people who are buying these, I mean, are they able to get loans on them? How does it work?
Yeah, so we do have a company based out of Utah that is able to do loans on the RV models, and they can do up to $150,000. So
Okay.
that's a cool option. And then
They're basically saying it's an RV.
It is, yeah. So it gets inspected as an RV. It's RV certified. So it is by code an RV at that point.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
And then the other ones that are permanent, how do those work?
Yeah, so those depend. If you're in an area with low regulation, like more rural property, you know, typically it's hard to get a bank to come out and give you a full loan on it,
Yeah.
unless you're going to be attached to a foundation.
Got
If that's the case, and it's usually going to be smaller banks that want to work with you on a container home.
Yeah.
So most of the people we work with are cash buyers. A lot of them are investors, and they have a property they're trying to do Airbnb rental, so they'll put them on there, but they come out of pocket typically.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with a mobile home we do here in Vegas. Like, even though we own the land and the mobile home's on it, it's not attached to the foundation, so you have to pay cash. Nobody
Yeah.
will finance it.
Exactly the same.
Same principle. So I see up here, you also built like a rooftop deck.
That's right.
Yes, I mean, this rooftop looks really big. You got these nice rails, you got the nice siding down here, like, it looks good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so basically these rails collapse for transport because you can't be over 13.6 in height as an RV.
Okay.
And then once they get on site, we just pop them right back up.
Okay, and then is there a way to like store furniture up for here, or how do people do that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like weight you can put up here, it's really strong. So you can totally put your furnishings up here, put a dining table up here. We've done
Yeah.
things like that. We did one where we had a slide come off here into a container pool. So you can get creative.
No, this is really cool. I see you've got some other things going on here.
Yeah.
Looks like a camper van and it looks like a gym.
That's right.
Yeah, I want to see those. Let's check
Okay.
them out. So what do you think this one will rent for on Outdoorsy?
So this one, to be honest, it probably isn't the best option for outdoorsy just because it is heavy, so it's hard to tow.
Okay.
So this one is a better option for someone that's going to keep it on their property long term. But our container homes, like on Airbnb and things like that, get anywhere from $120 a night to $350 a night.
Okay. Just kind of depends on the area, where it's at, everything else.
That's right.
So it's not quite the return as the little guy over there.
That's true. You're right.
But you're still making money.
Yeah, that's real.
Okay, so this, got a little camper van.
Yeah, so this is actually a shuttle bus that is getting converted into a living space.
Wow.
So this one can be used as an outdoorsy rental, or it actually is so big, it's almost as big as a container, you could probably just park it on a property and rent it out.
So this thing drives and everything.
It does.
Wow, let's
Yeah.
take a look at it.
Yeah.
All right, so I like what you've done here. You've got the wood ceilings, everything's very outdoorsy looking. This one's a lot, to me, this one feels bigger than the other one.
Yeah.
You've got this nice bed right here, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the bed, yeah.
Okay, and then this is a dining table?
It'll fold down into like a little sleeping area for a kid or something.
Oh, it'll also be a sleeping area. But would it be a dining area in the meantime, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a table that gets installed and then it'll end up lowering right down.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think the reason this feels bigger is because of the windows. So even with container homes, like I always recommend a lot of windows.
Yeah.
That really makes a difference.
Yeah, I guess that's what's giving it the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably, what, the same size?
It's about the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
The windows definitely play a big role. This one's cool because you could just take it anywhere.
You're right. Yeah, it's 100% off grid, so it's got solar up top, the batteries,
Yeah.
the water tanks, all that. So
what would you sell something like this for?
So I would say something like this, our cost on something like this is going to be about 70 grand.
Oh,
we'll
wow.
probably sell it for close to 100.
Wow. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you got some people that are willing to drop some big bucks on these things.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
What's cool about this one is this one will rent for about $250 a night. If you do that for 15 nights a month, you're looking at about $30,000 a year.
$30,000 a year, so make your money back in 3 years.
Yeah.
Own a bus.
Yeah.
What's the maintenance on these things? Like,
you know what? It's not too bad. This one is really low mileage. It's only got 25,000 miles. So if you're using it for outdoorsy where someone's going to drive it, I'd say retire it after like 150,000 miles.
Yeah.
And then look to have it in a fixed location where you can then rent it out.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a little, what, cargo van? What would you call this?
It's a Dodge ProMaster cargo van
Yeah.
converted into, a little living space.
So,
Camper van.
with these, you guys just kind of look at it and you're like, hey, looks pretty good. Like, we're gonna put this here, that here.
Yeah, it does get interesting, especially this one. It's such a small space.
That's what I was thinking. Like, this is very small.
It's half the size of these ones, yet it has everything that those have.
Yeah.
You've got the kitchen, the shower, a toilet. I mean,
yeah.
All seating area, sleeping area. So definitely got to get creative with it.
So how would this one get a bed?
So this turns into a bed. So that actually folds down, that table drops down, and then the cushions basically fill in on top of the tabletop.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Then you got a little bench area.
A little seating area here.
So how much will this one cost?
So this one, something like this would typically retail for about $95.
$95.
All in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't somebody just get that one?
You know what? What's nice about this, so here's a couple interesting things. This one rents for $300 a night.
Wow.
There's more demand for these because they're so easy to drive around.
Yeah, I'd be uncomfortable driving that. This anyone can drive this.
Yeah. So like May and June, we had 22 rentals for each of those months.
Right.
So 22 times 300, $6,600 a month.
Yeah.
And most of them, one of them, was a 3-week rental. The other ones are weekly rentals. And so, yeah, you can definitely do well with them.
Yeah, no, this one's cool. All right, so this is the one that I'm really excited about. This is the gym.
So my cousin, his company is called Curation. They launched a gym brand converting container. So we do the conversion for him.
Wow.
That's his client. So they're stunt devils out of Hollywood. So they'll be working out on set with this.
This is sick. Let's get in here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this is really cool. Would somebody just put this in their backyard?
Yeah, we've done stuff like that. Yeah.
They're obviously not renting it on Outdoorsy.
Correct.
Yeah, so this is nice, man. Like, you got everything you need. You got a squat rack, you've got the little cable machine, you got your dumbbells, bike, more weights.
Yeah, and so the first model we built for him was this same size, but with that one we changed up the equipment a little bit too. So we had like row machine, skier, things like that. So the back of this one also has a deck with an outdoor pull-up bar. You can work out outside. So.
Whoa, yeah, we got to see that.
Yeah.
So he sells these, and then you guys are the manufacturer.
Correct.
Wow. So what's he selling these for?
Something like this would probably retail for about $55.
Then it includes the equipment and everything, or okay.
Yeah, he has packages for all the equipment as well.
This is cool. Like, if you don't have room for a gym, like, this is probably more cost effective than a lot of the other alternatives.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did one here in Vegas. It was 2 of these combined. So we cut out the whole 20-foot side, combined them, and it's a 20 by 16 space, but out in North Las Vegas.
Wow. Dude, I love this. This is cool. Sweet. I would work out here.
I love them.
Yeah, I'll go up here. Yeah, I'll do some pull-ups.
Hi there, huh? Gonna get it?
Yeah.
You know what's up.
All right. So this part would open up so you could go in and out?
Yeah, we can open it up if you want.
This is cool. Like, you just got the pull-up bar, whatever you want.
Right.
Let's see if it works. All right. Ugh. All right, that's enough, guys. That's enough. It works. It's certified. RP certified. All right, so tell me about the business itself. Like, where are you guys at with revenues and how many units of these things are you selling? How's all that going?
Yeah, so we've done about 100 plus container homes up till now. Our revenue last year was 1.5 million.
Wow.
And we're in the process of kind of changing our business model a little bit.
Okay.
So I actually would be interested in hearing your thoughts on some things.
All right, what do you got?
So up till now, we've been doing all the manufacturing in-house.
Okay.
And we've developed some really good relationships where we can now outsource a lot of the manufacturing.
Okay.
And doing that gets my costs down like probably 20% out of my operating expenses.
Wow.
So we're in the process. That's why here we have multiple units we're working on that aren't here because they're outsourced.
Got it, because you don't have enough space.
That, and if I'm honest, like I personally love the design side. I love client relationships, branding.
Yep.
The manufacturing side and being like an ops guy isn't in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So you guys are going to outsource to all these different places, and you'll just be able to work on marketing and sales and sell a ton of these things.
Exactly. Yeah, so it'll be our models, and these people we're outsourcing to. We basically are developing, we're calling it the alt build network.
Okay.
And it's basically depending on what someone's looking for, we'll have the right builder that can kind of fulfill that order.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you can outsource and get your cost lower and it allows you to scale even bigger, why not?
That's true.
Yeah. And then it's just a matter of how many of these things can you sell?
Yeah.
Like how many do you think you could do if, like right now, are you constrained by your own ops and you're not able to produce as many more so you can't sell them? Or do you think that,
you could sell more if you just had opportunity.
Yeah, so right now it's a really interesting time to be in the tiny home market.
Okay.
So other tiny home builders would definitely relate to what I'm about to say, but one of the biggest challenges, where do I put it?
Yeah.
So with the way zoning is and permitting is right now, it's really difficult to find a place to put a tiny home.
Right.
So there is a lot of regulation loosening up around that in LA, Vegas, San Diego.
Yeah.
So as that becomes like more available, I think the demand increases a lot from there.
Yeah, especially when you look at the numbers. I mean, some of these things you can make your money back in 2 years, you know? So it's a good way to either your own property or if you have an Airbnb, you can add this to supplement the Airbnb.
Yeah.
You know, I think about my properties in Big Bear that I have, you know, like this would be great. Especially like I saw that little A-frame you guys were building. That would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, what's the plan then? Is it just to build out that network of manufacturers, or what do you plan to do next year?
So we are making a bit of a pivot. So we're outsourcing a lot of the manufacturing. And then on top of that, we're really interested in getting into more of the online digital course space.
Okay.
So we just launched the course on how to build your own container home.
Wow.
So it goes step by step through the whole process. And it's kind of everything we've learned over the last 6 or 7 years building container homes, condensed so someone off the street could literally take the course and build their own.
Wow.
So you can save a lot of money doing it that way.
Right.
But we want to develop those same product lines for other types of rental builds. So A-frames, camper vans, shuttle bus conversions. So we want to become kind of a little bit of like a one-stop shop where you want to build out something. We have a course that'll fit that need to build it out.
Yeah, you don't want to buy it from us. You want to do it yourself. Here, you know, you got time, you got labor, you got energy. Here's how you do it yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I mean, for me, obviously, I realized that when I started selling education, that was much more scalable. It was easier than it was to just go flip more houses. And so, yeah, you guys might be at the point where it's like, man, is it better to go scale this education side or the manufacturing side?
Yeah, yeah. And my natural like strengths and passions is the education side.
Yeah.
So I feel like, at least from my own skill set, like I like how people say like a lot of times in business, you know, one of the first steps is self-awareness, understanding what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I know that fits my wheelhouse really well.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are going to start getting into tiny homes, especially as real estate prices keep increasing.
Yeah.
You know, and things become less and less affordable. And, you know, I think people are going to actually choose to live in a lot of these things, like long term. But even as an investor, which I'm assuming most of the people you sell to are kind of people trying to make some extra money, or they're just buying it for themselves for fun. I think that market's going to start shifting a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Here back at Happy Jewelers over a year later now to see how exactly the watch market is doing. If you recall in our previous video, I actually purchased this watch last year, and I want to see what it's worth today as well as other watches from last year. So let's go meet with my man Gabe and see what exactly is going on with the market.
What's up, man?
Bro?
Welcome back, dude.
Good to see you.
I see you too. You brought the family today?
I brought the family. We're headed to San Diego. You know, I'm kind of seeing what's up with my watch that I bought. I also want to buy a couple other watches, not just for myself, but actually I want to get one for one of my students and one for my partner. So tell me about the watch market in general.
The market has softened up a lot. To begin with, like a lot of them were really, really high to start with.
Yeah.
So the ones that are like really, really expensive, like some of the really high-end Pateks took like a 30 to 35% haircut.
What price point is high?
So this watch, December, which is like 8 months ago, it was going from anywhere from 350 to 400,000. Okay. Today, the market on this one is about 200 to 250,000. But the retail on the watch is like 100 grand. It was way too high to begin with.
Right. 400,000 for a $100,000 watch at the beginning.
Exactly. But you know, I feel like, you know, a lot of the crypto guys were driving these prices really, really high.
Yeah.
And when crypto crashed, you know, the watch market.
They had to liquidate.
Yeah, liquidate, came down. Actually, we bought these high at 350. So we're not waiting to you know, for the market to go back up. We'll sell it at, you know, market value. Take a loss and just move on.
Get the next deal.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these ones are more risky, obviously.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Yeah.
If you're buying a Rolex Submariner anywhere from you know, 8 to 20,000,
hard to lose.
It's hard to lose. Yeah, you can't lose.
Yeah.
Because there's always a buyer for it. You know, even though if you pay over retail, they're still good.
Let's go with my watch.
So
all right?
actually, the one that you got is a very special, unique one because it has the blue ceramic, blue dial, blue rubber. They only made very like limited of them.
Yep.
You bought it for what, 45?
Around there.
Yeah.
You gave me a sweetheart deal.
I did. I gave you a really, really good deal.
Yeah.
But, right now, this watch is probably going at like 55 to 60,000 because they're hard to come around. They only made so much of it. So you made a good investment.
Yeah, for me, seeing that everything else in the watch market went down and mine still went up, I picked a good one.
I'm glad you picked that one up because like some of the APs, right? Like this rose gold one, Royal Oak. If you bought this one, when you bought it, you would have paid maybe like 160, 150, 160. Right now they're going for like 90 to 100,000.
We'll get to the one I want to buy here in a sec, but I actually want to get one from my now new partner, Brian Davila. He started out as a student in my coaching program, then he became the COO, and now he's getting ownership in Future Flipper.
Wow, that's
so
cool, man.
I want to gift him something, you know, cool for his very first watch.
Okay, cool.
He's not a flashy guy.
Okay.
So what do you think would be good?
I would start him off with the Rolex Submariner.
Yeah, that was my first watch.
That was your first watch, and you still wear that a lot too.
Yeah, I still wear it.
It's a great everyday watch. I mean, it will never go out of style, and it's kind of like the traditional Rolex look. It's your classic Rolex Submariner, black face, black bezel, all stainless steel.
This is identical to what I have, right?
Yeah, identical. Exactly.
Identical.
Yep.
So I was wearing this watch in our first video.
Exactly.
And I asked, hey, Gabe, how much would you pay me for this?
Right.
You said something like, you know, you'd probably give me $9,000. You were going to sell it for like 10 or 11.
Right.
And we talked about how just getting these watches is more like a lost leader.
Yeah.
It gets people in the door to buy other stuff.
Exactly.
And that video ended up going viral. I think it's gotten like over 10 million plus views.
It did. It went everywhere.
Yeah.
So, which was cool.
How many people like saw that video that came in?
Literally thousands. Thousands of people came in because of that video.
So this watch actually has a lot of meaning. It went viral.
Yeah.
It's my first watch. So I think this would be a great watch for Brian as his first one.
I agree.
Yeah.
He would love that.
So, I mean, at the time you said this was a $10,000 watch.
$10,000 watch, yep.
And what is it today?
13,000.
13,000.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much retained its value.
Yeah, retain its value.
Yeah. We also want to get one for my student, Zasha. She's also one of our very first students along with Brian. She's been Future Flipper through and through. She's been our #1 affiliate. And I want to give her something at our upcoming event and surprise her with it.
Is she like simple? What do you think? Like throw a diamond bezel on her?
You know what? I should get my wife here.
Yeah, let's get
tell me
Mindy,
this. Babe.
Can we get you help?
Yeah, we got to get your help for this one. So we've got Olivia and my wife. I think if Mindy liked it, she would like it.
That's the one size smaller.
This one's way better.
Right on, let's see how it looks on.
You want to give me one?
If you want one.
I don't wear one.
You're not a watch person.
Hold on, Ryan is in the mood. He's buying two Rolexes. Like buy two, get one free.
Buy two, you know. All right, so we'll get Zasha this one, and we'll get Brian this one.
Got it. How are you gonna present it to him?
On stage at the event. We ended up getting you a Rolex. So we got Brian. The same exact Rolex that I got as my first watch. Now, let's talk about me.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got this watch and I've got this watch. You know, my goal is I want to buy a watch a year for my collection. And, you know, looking at both these, I realized I don't really have anything gold.
Right.
And I think a gold one would be next, I guess, with my skin tone and everything. I think it would look good.
I really like this one. I think you would definitely. It's a really cool day date. It's a 40 millimeter. What I like about it, it's a chocolate dial.
That's a beautiful watch.
Yeah, it is. With the Roman numerals. Let me put this right here. Yeah. Don't drop that again because that costs you.
Guys, so you guys know, I dropped this maybe a couple months after I got it, and the ceramic cracked. It was $6,000 to fix it.
This is beautiful. Good.
Oh.
That's sharp right
That's
there.
a good looking watch.
This is the same watch in yellow gold.
Okay.
Put that on this one.
Okay.
I mean, definitely color looks good on you. That's sharp. I mean, that's sharp too. But rose gold kind of blends in a little bit more with your skin color. That's a Rolex Daytona. It's a more sporty look. That's like the Presidente. It has a day and the date. It's a little bit more classy, more dressy.
So wait, I've heard of the Presidente. Is that what this is?
Yeah, this is the Presidente.
Oh, the day date is called the Presidente.
Yeah, Rolex calls it day date. Now, like it's called the Presidente because John F. Kennedy was wearing it one day. He was wearing a 36 millimeter long time ago. He was wearing actually this watch.
Okay.
And then someone, when he was like wearing it, he was at an event. Somebody called it, wow, that's like one of the best Rolexes that I ever seen.
Yeah.
And JFK is wearing it. He's the president. They call it president. It's a true story.
Okay.
This Daytona with the black face, black ceramic. This watch December was going for like anywhere from 48 to 50,000.
Okay.
Today it's about in the wholesale is about the black dial, 30,000 to 32,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
So
a big
dropped,
hit. Yeah,
about
but the
40%.
retail on this watch is 14,000.
Wow. So I mean, so it still crushed its retail originally.
Exactly. So it just didn't make sense for this watch to go to almost 50 grand.
Yeah. Why?
Why? It's too much to start with. Exactly.
Yeah. Where do you think the watch market goes from here?
Right now, actually, it's like leveled off. It's not going down.
Yeah.
Actually, prices are coming back up. Getting closer to Christmas, people are stocking more.
Right.
It will come back. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's going to go up anymore, but it's still, steady.
So, I think I like this one the best. I love this rose gold. I love you call it's chocolate dial.
Chocolate dial.
Yeah.
Roman numerals.
So, what is this one worth?
The watch is 55, 60 grand. That's what it's worth.
Yeah.
Because it's chocolate, it has the Roman numerals.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna get this one. I love this watch.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Now that I'm getting 3 watches, it's hard to leave without getting my wife and something. So what are we gonna do? I don't even know where
she's right there. She has like a tray full of stuff. So you left her alone for 10 minutes and
she's already working on something.
Exactly.
So you got this for James, my son.
Yep. It's an ID bracelet, traditional, yellow gold with the Figaro link chain. Now Olivia gets something too. We got the rose gold, letter O with diamonds.
Wow.
Would you wear anything with diamonds or no?
I'm not a bling guy.
Yeah.
What do you think? The match.
That's a great match.
I love the watch.
That chocolate dial is nice, huh?
Nice.
From your guys' perspective, not being necessarily in investing per se, how do you guys navigate a changing economy? Because the last however many years, we've been very fortunate to be in a bull market and everything. And are you talking to your portfolio companies about different ways you're going to make your offers, or how are you navigating that?
I think there's 2 pieces to it, which is like selection of companies and then what we do with existing companies. When we started Acquisition.com, like one of the biggest things that we thought was like a strategic advantage, I guess you could say, is that we have the advantage that we can pick whatever kind of companies we want. And so we don't need to pick companies that we think would just absolutely just like be trashed during a recession. So that is like an advantage that we have. On the other side, there's a lot of businesses that they'll be affected, but it won't be detrimental. And so I think that we have some in our portfolio where it's like they're affected, it's not detrimental. And so what we look at is like, I think we kind of had a test run of this during COVID, which is, how do you adjust your marketing? How do you adjust your back end? Ben Horowitz talks about there's wartime and there's peacetime. If nobody's read the book, A Hard Thing About Hard Things, like it's a great book. For us, like when we had COVID and it hit Gym Launch, that was tough. And so we did an entire speech to our team on how now it's wartime. So what does that mean? What does that mean for marketing? What does it mean for sales? What does it mean for IT, tech? Our entire team as a whole, right? We were like, hey, listen, you all work nights now. Like you work into the evening. That's like a non-negotiable because like our customers are going out of business every other day. We work evenings, we work weekends. Like it's just, if you don't want to do it, you don't need to be here. But like this whole team needs to pull their weight. That's the same mindset that we give to our portfolio companies as we see this looming in the distance. When we talk about tripling a business, we give ourselves 3 to 5 years. So like that's a long time. So like there might be a year or two where it's shaky, but like as long as we can still achieve those objectives in that period of time and we can make progress, even if it's not being recognized immediately, we know we're putting in the infrastructure in place so that when things turn around, it's there and we're protecting what's already been built. So that's the best you can do in some. In others, I think it's a lot more taking advantage of the situation. So there's some that are positioned well, and like depending on what market you're in, where it's, and honestly what kind of entrepreneur you are, I think where you can get more aggressive. We have certain CEOs that we know we're like, we're going to take advantage of this downtime and we're going to be aggressive and we're going to acquire the entire market because everyone else is scared. So like Gym Launch, for example, we went all in on marketing during COVID and most of our competitors went out of business. And we now are doing more revenue than we were. We're pretty much over our peak year. And so that just shows the resilience of a business if you're willing to not act out of fear when you're actually feeling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I'll just add one thing, which is only losers should fear recessions. I mean that like from the bottom of my heart. If you are a winner, then all that happens is you just get to eat everyone else's lunch. Like that's all it is. So everyone else who shouldn't have been in business now will not be in business. And then whatever little crumbs and whatnot just filters up to the guys who provide value. So it's still business fundamentals, it's just you get away with less. So the rules of the game don't change. You just provide more value at a really reasonable price. You do all the things about being better. You contact your leads, you follow up, you make sure you're doing email marketing. You know what I mean? Like you're doing all the things that you should be doing, and it works in any economy.
And I totally agree with that. I was telling the story during my presentation of doubling down on marketing during COVID, and a lot of my competitors, they stopped marketing, and all of a sudden we took the market share. I think we're in a very big opportunity in all industries to, just like you said, it depends on the entrepreneur. How risk tolerant are you? Or how resilient are you? What do you guys think about, coaching these CEOs? One big thing that to me seems like a theme is leadership. How are you guys testing leadership? How are you developing leadership and really getting these CEOs and these, founders to impart that on their employees, like you said, where, hey, you're going to work nights. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. We don't need you. Like, we need people who are ready to roll.
I think that there's two ways, which is one, it's by example, right? Like, I think that the way that we coach them is how they should coach their executive teams, and that should stream down to their organization. And so one of the biggest things that we were actually just talking about was I was talking about the theme for next quarter for us, and I want it to be push. I look at what I do and what Alex does when we're coaching CEOs that a lot of people don't do, is when there's that like gap of awkward, or like that thing they say that is not true, or that like there's the fluff. We push into it and we're like, that's just tell me the truth. By us having those conversations with them, what I have gathered from their teams, from them, from the feedback, is that they have then learned to have those conversations, not only with their teams, but with themselves. Because I think what a lot of people are doing is they're not lying to us, they're lying to themselves about their business. And then we just get the leftovers of that, which is like, by consequence, they lie to us. And so I think that one of the first things you have to do is, I think it's Mark Zuckerberg says, your number one job as a CEO is to be a truth teller. In the beginning, I was way too soft on people. Alex was probably way too hard, I was way too soft. I realized that by being soft, I was actually putting people at a disadvantage because I wasn't addressing the hard truths that need to be addressed. And so we do that by setting the example, by not taking bullshit from anybody that's on the calls with us, when we're checking in with them.
A big thing I hear you talk about, and you guys said it here just now, that you go into a business and you say, hey, we want to triple your revenue. It might take 3 to 5 years, right? And one thing that's apparent listening to you guys speak is playing the long game, right? And I think so many of us sacrifice the long game so many times in order for the short-term gain. Can you guys elaborate on that, especially for real estate investors who, by nature, it is a long-term game in order to become wealthy and build a portfolio and all those things?
You have to act as if it were true. Because on some level, acting short-term serves you in a way. And so you have to figure out why you do this short-term activity that you know doesn't serve you. Because it does serve you somehow. And so if you can actually name the thing that it does for you by being short-term oriented, then usually you can kind of quantify the thing that you need to give up to get the thing that you want more. And so I think a lot of times it's like naming our enemies, naming our foes, like naming the things that we believe to be true that aren't. And then once you like pull them out and look at them, it's easier to overcome them. I want to be very clear here. I do not have patient tendencies. And that may sound crazy to you who have watched our content and our podcasts and speaking stuff. That may sound absurd, but I still struggle with it. And giving myself the definition of learning as same condition, new behavior, and then knowing that the behavior is the thing that determines my character trait, not how I feel about it. And so I can feel impatient, I can feel uneasy, I can want to take the short money. But as long as I do not take the action, I am able to cast one more vote in the favor of the character trait that I want to embody. And I think most of us are on this entrepreneurial journey for who we're going to become rather than what we're going to own. And so I think that if we rewrite the journey as the hero's journey of who we want to be, then a lot of times the outcome of the decision, and it does outperform over the long haul by mile. That's why you want it. But the short-term benefit of rewarding yourself and reinforcing the behavior by saying, I just exhibited this behavior, that is a good thing. Then it gives you a faster feedback loop for behaviors that will pay off longer. And so like if there is a single trait that any person wants to develop, it is the ability to weather short-term discomfort for long-term achievement. It's making the short-term trade. And I just like, I can tell, it's just paid so many dividends in my life and it's been so hard for me. And so I'm sharing this because like, it's hard. Like being the person that you want to be is hard and it doesn't feel easy. And so it's just doing it anyways, knowing that you don't feel that way. And a lot of times in decisions, it's saying no to that feels exciting.
So it is a crazy time to be in the world right now. At the time of this filming, it's April 3rd and things have just gotten crazy. The pretty much world has been shut down due to the coronavirus. We've had record unemployment. A lot of businesses can't even operate at all. The government is sending a $2 trillion stimulus. There's much uncertainty going on. And I don't have a prediction for you. I don't think anyone can give an accurate prediction because this has never happened. But what I can say is for the business owners, there's going to be a very big shift on what happens this next year. And I don't want you guys to end up on the wrong side of this, so you have to accept the facts and realize what's going on. If we look at businesses as a whole, let's take a whole 100% of the businesses. At least 50% are going to fail or they're going to be years before they recover. It's just what's going to happen. And a lot of them are going to be non-essential businesses that can't make revenue no matter what they do. And a lot of them are just going to be businesses who make the wrong move. And that's going to probably be half of them. I would say another 30% of them are going to figure out how to get by here in 2020. I think that those 30%, they're not going to thrive, but they are going to make it through this. And by 2021, hopefully they'll be back at their pre-coronavirus level of business. But for them, 2020 will be rough. Then you're going to have the remaining 20% who are really going to make things happen. Half of them, I would say, are going to maintain their current production. They're going to act like nothing has even happened because they figure out ways to adapt. And then I think you have this other half that is just going to thrive during this time. They're going to innovate. They're going to do better because there's less competition, or they've got a product that's just going to be more in demand. Think about like toilet paper and hand sanitizer and other things. So the question business owners have to ask themselves is, where are they going to fall in the end of all these percentages? Are they going to be a part of the 50% that, don't make it or just take years to recover from this mess? Are they going to be part of the 30% that figure out how to get by and, get back to their level next year? Are they going to be that 10% that keeps going and like nothing happened? Or are they going to be a part of that 10% that actually does better because of one reason or another? They innovate, they have no competition, or their products are in more demand. For my business and house flipping, I've seen that all of our competition has almost vanished. The iBuyers are no longer buying. Most flippers are just completely retreating and backing out. Wholesalers are spending less money. And there's more motivated sellers out there, obviously, with everything going on. So I have a choice. I can do what everyone else is doing and retreat and wait it out. And if you've got the resources to wait it out and just, get by, there are many people who are going to choose to do that. But for me anyways, I'm gonna try and be a part of that top 10%. I wanna do even better than before because I realize there's an opportunity where nobody is filling the gap. Nobody wants to buy homes, nobody wants to take the risk. I'm gonna do it because I know that there's an opportunity to do that. So when I look at business as a whole these last 10 years, okay? We've all been riding this wave of appreciation, things have been getting better, things have been good, and for your business to be successful, you had to constantly move forward because your competition was moving forward. If you stopped, you were gonna lose market share because your competition kept going forward. So if your competition took one step, you have to take one step. The only way to get ahead is if you take 2 steps while they take 1, and that's how you build market share. Well, let's look at it now. If your competition is now either not doing anything and taking no steps, or they're retreating and taking a step or 2 back, then you, as long as you can actually stay where you're at, or take one step forward, you're going to break the gap between your competition huge. Imagine doing that every day as things develop. It's crazy. Like, we're so used to always going forward together, but now you're about to see everyone stop while you move forward or go back while you move forward. And you can see how that gap is going to widen tremendously. And that's what I see. I see that I have an opportunity to go forward while other people either retreat or choose to stay still. And what happens is the person who is willing to do that is going to gain market share. They're going to gain the profit that other people are choosing to forego out of fear or out of timidness or whatever it is you want to call it. And I just see that the opportunity when everyone else stops is so great to really get ahead. So in conclusion, I would just say think about where your business is and what it is you want to do. Are you in a mode of retreat? Are you in a mode of maintaining? Or are you in a mode of expansion? I'm not saying that everyone should go to expansion mode. You may not be ready for it. You may not have the resources for it. But you have to figure out, how do I get out of this 50% that will fail? You need to either maintain or go forward.
You've been asking me about real estate for years.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when did we buy your house you live in now?
3 years ago. It's
Okay.
coming up on 3 years.
So we got you that one 3 years ago. And ever since then, you've been talking about rental properties and all that. Why now? What's kind of been the push?
I'm rebuilding the capital, to get into that. And then also, I'm looking more on, not what could go wrong, but what could go right.
Right.
It was definitely a mindset change. So, I've been thinking very differently the last 7 months.
Right.
So a lot of me has been held back because I'm like, oh God, what's going to go wrong?
Right.
Everything. I'm going to lose everything. I can't, I can't have my kids sleeping on the street, So now I'm taking that risk to, what could go right.
What caused that mindset change? Like, because most people, it is fear. Fear is what prevents people from taking action.
For me, over the last 7 months, it's been a wild ride. I got dumped by my girlfriend of 7 years, and I was always thinking negatively, but hoping for positive outcomes of things. So right now, I'm like, what could go right? I'm not going to look at the what could go wrong. I'm gonna, I'm gonna close my eyes and fumble through it, kind of just to see what happens.
You know what I found is that failure is really what pushes us to the next level, and I use the example of my year I had in 2019. For those of you who don't know, we had a really big year in 2018. I was riding high. We made over $2 million flipping houses, and that was the first year, I was really building my business. And in 2019, a lot of different things happened. Number one, they raised interest rates. We were just talking about that, right? And the kind of demand for houses stopped. And so I got exposed by a lot of the bad things I was doing and bad habits. Some of those habits were betting on appreciation with our flips, which I teach people never to do, but I was doing it. Second thing was we were very inefficient in a lot of our processes. So, we weren't getting projects done on time. We were going over budget. We were buying deals that were suspect as far as just trying to make them work. Mm-hmm. And those things all came back to bite us in 2019 because you cannot run a business that way. And it was like, we didn't notice them in 2018 because we were making so much money.
Yeah, it was rolling along.
Yeah, I'm like, you look at what actually happened though, and you're like, wow, we went over 20 grand over budget, but we still made 20 grand. This is great.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, we should not have made money on that deal.
Yeah.
We got lucky.
Yeah.
And to long story short we ended up losing $500,000 on bad deals in 2019. And no one had to pay for that loss but me, because all my investors, everybody, they all got paid their interest and everything they were due. And I had to wear it myself. And so that humbled me and taught me a lot. And on top of that, I became a dad in 2019 and trying to balance trying to raise a family, run businesses, and my son JP was in the NICU for 2 months, and dealing with that was stressful. And, at the end of the year, he had brain surgery, because he bumped his head and he had a brain bleed. And so it was like 2019 for me was such a year of turmoil for business, for, family, everything. And then it was like, that really helped me figure out that, like, hey, okay, not everything is always going to be on the up and up. Like, when you get punched in the face, that's when you really got to make some changes.
Yeah.
And we made those changes in 2020. I hired consultants. I changed our business model. I did a bunch of different things, and, ended up having our best year ever, despite, the pandemic and everyone else having their worst year, and it was only because 2019 was so difficult. And so I just think a lot of people who don't make change is because they're comfy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. You get complacent.
Yeah.
You get complacent.
And you just, honestly, I really do. You don't ever want to like root for failure.
Yeah.
But it's the best teacher.
Yeah.
I think that's a saying. Failure's the best teacher, maybe.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a saying.
Yeah.
So for me, my favorite strategies the next 6 to 12 months are wholesaling, net listings / novations, development, multifamily, and then seller finance and sub 2. I think those are the optimal strategies going forward. So let's talk about this. For me, actually, let me talk about Future Flipper as a whole. A lot of people think Future Flipper is all about just house flipping. It's not. Future Flipper is about just real estate investing. When somebody asks you what you do for a living, you're not a house flipper, you're not a wholesaler, you're not a landlord, you're a real estate investor. That's what you do, okay? And for us, for those who've been in my All-Star program, way before all this stuff with the market started happening, I said to everybody that I was going to be transitioning my business to wholesale predominantly. How many All-Stars remember that, right? This was maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. And so for the last 5 months, we've been building out our business in the back end to basically wholesale at scale. Like, we want to raise our marketing budget triple. Like, I want to spend $200,000 a month plus on marketing, because I think there's that big of an opportunity. But for me, even before the market, I was really only doing that because I think I've come to the conclusion that in order to build a $10 to $20 million company a year in revenue, wholesaling's way easier, right? It's just, getting enough contractors, enough money, enough everything, and then you take on all this risk. It's very difficult to flip. I've always told people, I'm like, I don't want to flip 300 homes. Like, it's a nightmare. I don't want to do it. But I'm cool flipping 100 homes. We've been doing that forever. So for me, when we decided that we were going to raise the budget, we said, okay, well, we're still going to go buy 100 homes. I might flip 50 of them. I might keep 50 of them as rentals, and I'm going to go wholesale 200 of them. And so we need to build out our team basically on the marketing and sales side to do that. We don't need to change anything on the construction side or the capital raising side. We already have that built out for that many homes. And so I was already on that path anyway, but wholesaling now makes even more sense with today's market, right? If you're very scared of where things are going, you literally can't lose wholesaling, right? You're just going to back out of a deal if it doesn't work out, right? Your only risk is really your marketing. And so if you know what buyers are willing to pay, you'll be just fine, okay? So I think wholesaling is a great thing, and it means that all of you need to really work on your marketing and sales piece of your business, because it makes, MLS and buying from wholesalers more difficult when you're trying to be the wholesaler. You can definitely wholesale in the MLS, but I think building a direct marketing engine is going to be very beneficial for the next 6 to 12 months, okay? And this is part of, basically the rest of these, how that all plays out. With net listings and novations, once again, that's a direct marketing thing. I think it's just a strategy to, utilize a lot of these leads. Same thing with seller finance and sub 2. It's very difficult to go get a sub 2 off the MLS, right? But if you're direct to seller and you get these guys who have a 3% loan, I can promise you, even if you pay market value for it at a 3% loan, you're gonna have buyers knocking down your door who want it, because the payment is so low, they're gonna either keep it as a rental or they want it as a primary or whatever else. And so you're gonna be able to sell seller finance and sub 2s at a premium in today's climate. Whereas before, it wasn't as big of a deal because it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, I can go get a 3% loan too. It doesn't matter. But today, it's like super important, okay? Multifamily, I think, is going to be great. You know, people are obviously renting more with higher prices, and so multifamily should thrive during this period. But lastly, another one that people don't talk about is development. So, you know, we got a bunch of developers in Future Flipper, but I think that's a great one because if you anticipate that, you know, a recession is coming, a few things happen, right? One is people stop building, right? And therefore, maybe there's not the supply shortage that there used to be, you know, and it just changes the cost of building. But also, too, development takes years. And so even if we were to go in this worst case recession for the next year, 2 years, by the time it's done and your development's up, you know, 3 years from now, you're good. So I actually think it's a really good time to develop for those who are wondering. There's one of my partners, Amr, who is a developer in LA. So him and I are working on doing some different developments and stuff too. So I think that's a great strategy in the next 6 to 12 months as well. Start looking at land. What you got to know though, is I said this before, but cash buyers will have more power. You know, some hedge funds are on pause. You need mom and pop buyers more than ever. You know, you can't rely just on hedge funds. For me, some of you guys may have seen this video, but you know, I partnered with a company, InvestorLift. I have some equity in them now, but they're literally like the best dispositions I've seen. You know, I've seen dispositions try to get mastered in the last 8 years, and it's like these guys have already built the entire database of like every buyer. They have like 4 million buyers. Hedge fund, they have a list of every hedge fund, every cash buyer, you know, every person in this room, you're on InvestorLift. And, you know, I know that is because, and they kind of actually piss me off, because I get all these stupid emails of all these houses in California, in Arizona, and it's in the same email font and, like, background. I know exactly it's from InvestorLift. I'm like, why am I on this list? Like, I don't want this. But, you know, they have a list of everybody, and you're getting blasted with a property whether you like it or not. So I think they're great. And for those of you who want it, you can use, if you scan the QR code and use Future Flipper, they'll give you 10% off, okay? So I like InvestorLift. They'll probably speak at the next one and do a way better job of telling you guys what they do. But really, here's something just to be cautious of. These strategies are gonna work, but be cautious. So flipping, Airbnb, you know, single family rentals. So with flipping, right, we talked about this, like, I'm still flipping. I'm not gonna stop flipping, right? But flipping is really the only risky thing at this moment, because if demand does stop and you end up holding a property long haul, your holding cost eats you up, and maybe you gotta unload it for a price you didn't wanna sell it for. Like, flipping can definitely hurt you as of today. I don't think it's gonna hurt you if you just underwrite conservatively and you buy good deals, because like we said, even in these deals that, you know, if you got a 400 ARV today and you buy it for 300,000, it's very hard to lose. You know, you're gonna either sell it as a flip and break even, or you just refinance it for the long haul, and you're gonna be fine in the long haul, right? So I would say if you're flipping, always have backup lenders to kind of refi you and just basically get you through it. And it's funny because, you know, I've had plenty of flips in my career that did not sell for various reasons. And so my backup plan was always either sell it at a loss or keep it as a rental. You know, had I just kept it as a rental all these years, right? It'd have been way better. And I accidentally did that on many. You know, I had a luxury flip that I didn't do right, and we didn't put a pool in it, even though it needed it, and I thought it would sell anyway. And, you know, we were all into this thing for like $750, and, you know, I tried to get $900, no one wanted it, and, you know, eventually I refied it at $750. And, you know, now, 3 years later, I still own that luxury flip. It's worth like 1.2. You know, like, I'm glad I didn't sell it as a loss, because now I have this great property, and it also cash flows like crazy, which you would think is, you know, tough for luxury, but because I got a great rate on it, you know, years ago, my mortgage is like, I don't even know, $5,000, and I rent it out for $6,500, and I need to lease out, like, that's an old lease too. It's probably worth more. So like, I think even when you're flipping, as long as you're prepared to refi, and you don't need to refi with like crazy debt of like, man, I need a 30-year fixed. Refi with an ARM, refi with a 5-year ARM, and you'll be able to see it through the storm. If there is a storm, this is if there's a storm, right? Like you just gotta have your backup plan with flipping. Airbnb, I think Airbnb is great, but like at the end of the day, it continues to become more restrictive with these cities and different things. And so something to be cautious of, like if that's your only strategy, at the end of the day, I've been seeing some of our students and other people have a ton of success with corporate rentals. So once again, this is just backup strategy. If you have properties on Airbnb, also start looking into corporate rentals where you can list them for over 30 days and make money that way. So I think do that. And then with single family rentals, just be careful because if you're refining them, your rates are gonna be really high, and so you're probably not gonna cash flow in many markets. So if you're gonna do it, I'm doing it, right? But just have enough cash where you're okay, like not having cash flow. I don't think not having cash flow is like this bad thing people make it out to be. It just depends on your situation, I buy plenty of properties that don't cash flow because I know appreciation-wise it'll be fine. And all the rentals I bought in the last few years in Vegas, they didn't really cash flow, once you really factored it in, but now they crush, like that luxury flip I was just telling you about. I had one, my parents' house, I bought my parents a house and it would not have cash flowed. And I just bought them a new house, a few years later. So we moved them in, and now we're gonna rent that out. At the time, my mortgage was like $1,600, market rent was $1,800, and so once you factor in everything, it wouldn't have cash flowed. But now market rent's like $3,000. And it's like, okay, this is gonna be real nice. So my point is with SFRs, you'll be fine. You just have to make sure that you can withstand not cash flowing. So in conclusion, here's the deal. Buy when people are fearful, okay? At the end of the day, 2010 and 2020 were great examples of when everybody was super scared and they all bought. Watch your local market supply daily. That's gonna be very important. Just make sure you're continuing to watch that, especially if you're flipping. If you're a wholesaler or a buy and hold investor, there's very little risk, very little. And don't wait for a crash. Like you can make a lot of money in any market.
Thanks for making it to the end. The good news is I've got another one that I know you're gonna like, and all you gotta do is click it right here. Linking it right here. All you gotta do is just click it, and you're gonna see this new episode that you're gonna love.
I've had Airbnbs for over 5 years now, and they've been wildly successful. When I initially bought my first one back in 2017, I bought it for $200,000, and it was renting for over $4,000 a month. My mortgage was only $1,200 bucks, and so we were making over $4,000 a month in gross revenue.